When we talk about human rights, we usually talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We talk about the right not to be disappeared by your government, the right to legal counsel, the right to speak your mind or practice your faith as you see fit. But there are other rights, inalienable rights endowed by our Creator. The right to beauty, for instance, however each person defines it. The right to love and be loved honestly and authentically. And the right to dignity, to have our humanity honored by others regardless of the circumstances. Over the last few weeks, Spirit has been walking me through the lives of people on the edges of society. Now, I've always had a heart for them, but there's a difference between having a heart for someone and walking their path. We've explored the houseless community and experienced more Americans are facing every day, and this week, I walked a little on the path of the differently abled. Now, I'm not claiming to be an expert, but I've walked enough to know that we can do better, and we need to. A few years ago, I tore my cornea while sleeping. My eyes dried out while they were closed, and when I woke in agony, I couldn't open them to even call for help. It took hours before I reached someone, and that experience led me to learn how to use voice activation on my phone. So I tried to set it up on the phone I'd had for a year, except it's not possible. Google Assistant and Gemini don't play well together, and Gemini is baked deeply into the phone. If I use Google Assistant, voice activation stops working entirely. If I use Gemini, it can't access my contacts. If I were blind, I literally wouldn't be able to call for help. You might think, well, they can ask someone to help them. But should they have to? Should any grown adult have to ask for help because a manufacturer designed two programs that can't work together? Remember that right to dignity? Everyone has the right to a dignified existence, even when they're using a phone in an emergency. And let's talk about bathrooms. I've stayed in several hotels with rooms labeled handicapped accessible, or so they say. Deep bathtubs, shower heads 6 feet off the ground, facing the wall. A person in a wheelchair can't shower alone in that space. But hey, there are 5 handbars in the bathroom. What are they supposed to do? Use it like a jungle gym? It's important to remember that someone inspected these rooms and said, "Yep, looks good to me." And that's exactly the problem. Technical compliance doesn't equal accessibility. Dignity is missing. Independence is missing. Safety is compromised. And the person using the space is left improvising, struggling, or depending on someone else for basic human needs. These last couple of weeks have been painful, frustrating, and so eye-opening. It's shown me in a real lived experience how systems fail the people who need them most, even when they intend to help. We need to ask different questions. Not, does it check off the boxes, but does this truly work for the person who will use it? Does it preserve their dignity? Does it honor their humanity? Because without that, accessibility is just a word on a page, and rights without dignity are hollow. Everyone deserves a life where their humanity is honored, where safety, independence, and dignity are real and not just words we use.